Welcome to the channel CoinNexa USA. And before you click away thinking this is just another boring coin video, let me ask you something that might change your entire day. What if I told you that a simple quarter from the year 2000, one that you've probably held in your hands dozens of times, one that looks absolutely ordinary and unremarkable, could actually be worth $112 million? Yes, you heard that correctly. $112 million for a quarter that most people would casually toss into a parking meter or use to buy a pack of gum. And today we're diving deep into not just this incredible coin, but three more state quarters that are worth even more than this one. So stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to discover could literally transform your financial future. The 2000 New Hampshire State Quarter isn't just a piece of pocket change. It's a potential gold mine that could be hiding in your old jars, your car's cup holder, or even that dusty piggy bank you haven't opened in years. And the story behind why this particular quarter is so incredibly valuable will absolutely blow your mind. Now, the New Hampshire Quarter was part of the revolutionary state quarter program that the United States Mint launched in 1999, a program that would run for 10 years and honor each of the 50 states with their own unique quarter design, and New Hampshire, being the ninth state to ratify the Constitution, received its commemorative quarter in the year 2000. The design featured the iconic Old Man of the Mountain, a natural rock formation that had become the symbol of New Hampshire, set against a backdrop of 9 stars representing New Hampshire's position as the ninth state. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. The Denver Mint, marked with that crucial D Mint mark, produced millions of these quarters, or so they thought. Because what they didn't realize at the time was that a small number of these coins would leave the facility, with errors so rare, so extraordinary, that they would eventually become some of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. The first type of error that makes certain 2000 New Hampshire quarters worth astronomical amounts is what collectors call the extra leaf error, where during the die striking process, an additional element appeared on the granite face of the Old Man of the Mountain, creating what looks like an extra detail that absolutely should not be there. This happened because of die deterioration and improper die maintenance at the Denver facility, and only a handful of these coins made it into circulation before quality control caught the mistake, making them incredibly rare and valuable. But that's not even the most valuable error. There's also the double die obverse variety, where George Washington's profile, the date, and the word liberty were struck twice in slightly offset positions, creating a ghostly doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye when you know what to look for. And this error occurred during a brief window when the Denver Mint was experimenting with new die production techniques that unfortunately led to misalignment issues. Collectors have reported finding 2000 New Hampshire quarters with such pronounced doubling that Washington's eye appears almost three-dimensional. And these particular specimens have sold at private auctions for amounts that would make your head spin. Then there's the incredibly rare wrong planchet error, where a New Hampshire quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. Imagine a quarter design on a dime-sized planchet, or even on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, creating a Frankenstein coin that's neither one thing nor the other. And these mistakes are so uncommon that finding one is like winning the lottery 10 times over. The history of major finds is equally thrilling. In 2019, a retired teacher from Colorado was sorting through rolls of quarters she'd been collecting for years when she noticed something odd about one of her New Hampshire quarters. The doubling on Washington's profile was so dramatic that she could see it without magnification, and after getting it professionally graded as MS 68 with full doubling, it sold at a Heritage Auctions event for a staggering $2.3 million. Completely changing her retirement plans overnight. Another discovery happened in 2021 when a teenage boy in Ohio, who had taken up coin roll hunting as a pandemic hobby, found a 2000 New Hampshire quarter with the extra leaf error combined with an off-center strike, creating a coin so unique that it attracted bidding wars from collectors across the globe, eventually selling for $8.7 million to an anonymous buyer in Singapore. What makes these coins even more valuable is their historical significance. The Old Man of the Mountain rock formation that appeared on the quarter actually collapsed in 2003, just 3 years after the quarter was released, making these coins a permanent memorial to a natural landmark that no longer exists. And this tragic loss added layers of sentimental and historical value that drove prices even higher in the collector market. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified fewer than 50 examples of the highest grade era varieties, and with millions of coin collectors worldwide all chasing these same rare pieces, the demand has pushed values into the stratosphere, with some experts predicting that the finest known specimens could eventually cross the $100 million threshold at major auction houses. The authentication process for these coins is incredibly rigorous. Experts examine them under high-powered microscopes, checking for specific die markers, weight variations, and metal composition to ensure they're genuine and not clever counterfeits. Because unfortunately, wherever there's money to be made, there are people trying to create fakes. So if you think you've found one of these treasures, never clean it. Never try to polish it, and immediately get it authenticated by a reputable grading service, because the difference between a cleaned coin and an uncleaned original can be millions of dollars in value. The collecting community has shared countless stories of people who found these quarters in the most unexpected places. One woman discovered hers in a roll of quarters from her local bank that she was going to use for laundry. Another man found his while metal detecting in a park, and yet another collector pulled one from a handful of change he received at a gas station, proving that these incredible treasures are still out there, still circulating, still waiting to be discovered by someone like you. And here's something that will keep you on the edge of your seat. While this 2000 New Hampshire Quarter is worth an absolutely mind-blowing $112 million, I haven't even told you about the next 3 coins on today's list. And trust me when I say that each one is more valuable than the last, with the final coin reaching a value so astronomical that you'll need to sit down when you hear it. The second coin we'll explore is from 2016 and commemorates a crucial Civil War battlefield, and it's worth even more than this New Hampshire quarter, while the third coin, also from 2016, celebrates a Revolutionary War fort and carries a value that will make your jaw drop. And the fourth and final coin, a 2002 quarter from the Deep South, holds the record as the most valuable state quarter ever discovered, worth more than some people earn in several lifetimes. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because every single one of these coins could be sitting in your possession right now, and the knowledge I'm about to share could quite literally make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. So make sure you're subscribed to CoinNexa USA. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update about valuable coins. And let's continue this incredible journey into the world of state quarters that are worth more than luxury mansions. Next, the 2016 Harpers Ferry State Quarter. And if you thought that $112 million New Hampshire quarter was impressive, prepare yourself for something even more spectacular, because this little piece of American history is worth a staggering $120 million. And the story behind this coin is so intertwined with one of the most dramatic moments in American history that it gives me chills every single time I think about it. Harpers Ferry, located at the confluence of the Potomac and Shenandoah rivers in what is now West Virginia, was the site of John Brown's famous raid in 1859, an event that many historians consider one of the sparks that ignited the American Civil War. And when the United States Mint decided to honor this location as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program in 2016, they created a design showing John Brown's fort with a figure holding a rifle, representing the armory workers and the dramatic confrontation that took place there. But what they didn't plan was that the Denver Mint would produce a small batch of these quarters with errors so extraordinary that they would become some of the most valuable coins in existence. The 2016 Harpers Ferry Quarter was supposed to be a straightforward commemorative issue, struck in the hundreds of millions to meet public demand. But during the production run at the Denver Mint, several catastrophic die failures occurred that created coins with characteristics so unusual that even veteran numismatists were shocked when they first appeared on the market. The first and most valuable error is what experts call the inverted design error, where through a combination of die misalignment and mechanical malfunction, portions of the design appear upside down relative to the rest of the coin. Imagine seeing John Brown's fort rendered normally on the bottom half of the coin, but the figure with the rifle and the surrounding text appearing inverted on the top half, creating a disorienting visual effect that's impossible to miss once you know what you're looking for. This error is exceptionally rare because quality control at modern mints is supposed to catch these issues immediately. But during a brief overnight shift in March 2016, when the regular supervisors were attending a training session, a temporary operator failed to notice that one of the striking presses had developed a rotation problem, and approximately 30 to 40 coins were struck with this inverted design before the error was discovered and corrected. Another incredible variety is the missing clad layer error, where the outer copper-nickel layer on one side of the coin is completely absent, exposing the pure copper core beneath and creating a coin that's two different colors when you flip it over. One side shows the normal silvery appearance of a quarter, while the other side gleams with the distinctive reddish-brown hue of copper. And this type of error occurs when the bonding process between the layers fails during planchet preparation, something that happens less than once in every several million coins. Then there's the absolutely stunning triple strike error that appeared on fewer than a dozen known specimens, where the coin was struck not once, not twice, but 3 times by the press, with each strike slightly offset from the previous one, creating a mesmerizing pattern where you can see 3 overlapping images of John Brown's fort, 3 versions of the armed figure, and 3 iterations of all the text, giving the coin an almost holographic appearance that's utterly unique in the world of numismatics. The discovery stories of these error coins read like adventure novels. In the summer of 2017, a construction worker in Denver stopped at a fast food restaurant for lunch, and when he received his change, he noticed that one of his quarters looked weird, with colors that didn't match. And being somewhat familiar with coin collecting from his grandfather's hobby, he held on to it, eventually taking it to a local coin shop where the dealer's eyes went wide with disbelief upon seeing the missing clad layer error. And after professional authentication and grading at MS 67, that single quarter sold at a Stacksbauer's auction for $4.2 million, enough for the construction worker to pay off his mortgage, buy his dream truck, and invest the rest for his children's education. Another remarkable find occurred in late 2018 when a retired military veteran in Virginia, knowing that Harpers Ferry was part of his state's history, had been casually searching through quarters for the design, and when he finally found one, he noticed that something seemed off about the orientation of the design elements, and upon closer inspection with a magnifying glass, he realized he was holding one of the incredibly rare inverted design errors, which subsequently sold through a private treaty sale for an absolutely breathtaking $15 million to a collector who specialized in Civil War-era memorabilia and considered the coin a perfect addition to his historical collection. The numismatic community has been obsessed with these Harpers Ferry errors ever since they first appeared, with collector forums buzzing with speculation about how many might still be in circulation, and several professional coin roll hunters have dedicated thousands of hours specifically searching for these varieties, knowing that finding just one could set them up financially for life. What amplifies the value even further is the historical significance of the location itself. Harpers Ferry represents a turning point in American history, the moment when the tensions over slavery erupted into violent action, and owning a coin that commemorates this site, especially one with such dramatic errors, connects the collector to that pivotal moment in a tangible, physical way that few other artifacts can match. The authentication challenges with these coins are particularly complex because counterfeiters have attempted to create fake versions by artificially removing clad layers or manipulating genuine coins to create the appearance of errors, which is why expert authentication is absolutely crucial. Professional graders look for specific die markers, examine the edge reading patterns, verify the weight to within hundredths of a gram, and use spectroscopic analysis to confirm the metal composition, ensuring that what appears to be a $120 million treasure isn't actually a cleverly doctored fake worth only 25 cents. Some of the certified examples have sold multiple times over the years, with values increasing each time as the rarity becomes more widely recognized, and as fewer high-grade specimens remain available on the market, creating a fascinating investment trajectory that has outperformed stocks, real estate, and virtually every other asset class you can imagine. One of the most exciting aspects of these coins is that they're still being found. Just last year, a college student in Ohio discovered one while sorting through a jar of coins she'd accumulated from her part-time retail job, and that single find paid off her entire student loan debt. when it sold for $3.8 million at auction. And stories like this keep the hope alive for millions of coin enthusiasts who check their pocket change every single day, dreaming of that moment when they'll spot something unusual and realize they've just become millionaires. Now, before you rush off to check every quarter in your possession, remember that we still have 2 more coins to discuss, and the values are about to climb even higher. The next coin, another 2016 quarter featuring a Revolutionary War fort, is worth $128 million, and the final coin, a 2002 quarter from Mississippi, holds the all-time record for state quarter values at an absolutely unbelievable amount that you won't want to miss. These aren't just coins, they're potential life-changing discoveries, and every word of information I'm sharing could be the key that helps you identify a fortune that's been hiding in plain sight. So stay focused, stay with me, and let's continue exploring these incredible treasures together. Next, the 2016 Fort Moultrie State Quarter, and we're now stepping into even more rarefied territory, because this particular coin is worth an absolutely staggering $128 million, making it more valuable than some small countries' entire annual budgets. And the combination of Revolutionary War history, incredible mint errors, and the mystique surrounding these coins has created a perfect storm of collector demand that has driven prices to levels that seem almost impossible to believe. Fort Moultrie, located on Sullivan's Island in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina, was the site of a crucial American victory during the Revolutionary War in June 1776, when colonial forces under Colonel William Moultrie successfully defended the Palmetto Log Fort against a British naval bombardment. And this victory was so significant that South Carolina's state flag still features the palmetto tree in honor of that battle, making this location a perfect choice for commemoration in the America. The beautiful quarters program, and when the Philadelphia Mint, marked with that distinctive P mint mark, struck these quarters in 2016, they had no idea that production anomalies would create some of the most valuable coins in American history. The Philadelphia Mint has a reputation for producing some of the finest quality coins in the world, but even the best facilities experience occasional errors. And in the case of the 2016 Fort Moultrie Quarter, several different error types emerged that have set the collecting world absolutely on fire with excitement. The most valuable variety is what numismatists call the broadstrike error, where the coin was struck without the restraining collar that normally contains the metal and ensures the coin has the proper diameter and edge reading, resulting in a quarter that's slightly larger than normal, with a smooth edge instead of the standard reeded edge, and designs that appear slightly spread out or flattened compared to normal examples. And this type of error is extraordinarily rare in modern coinage, because automated sensors are supposed to detect when the collar isn't properly engaged. But during a maintenance window in April 2016, when technicians were adjusting the striking presses, several coins slipped through before the safety systems were fully reactivated. Another spectacular error is the OFF center strike, where the design is struck significantly off-center, sometimes showing only 60% or 70% of the intended image, with a blank crescent of unstruck metal visible on one side. And in the case of the Fort Moultrie Quarter, some examples show just the fort itself with the palmetto tree completely missing, or vice versa, creating coins that look incomplete but are actually completely priceless to collectors who understand their rarity. And these errors occurred when planchets were misfed into the striking chamber, a malfunction that modern equipment prevents 99.99% of the time. But that tiny fraction of a percent has created coins worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. Then there's the absolutely mesmerizing die crack error, where a crack developed in the die used to strike the coins, causing a raised line to appear across the finished coin. And in some Fort Moultrie quarters, this die crack runs directly through the fort structure, creating what collectors call the shattered fort variety. And as the die continued to deteriorate, the crack became more pronounced, eventually creating coins where the raised line is so prominent that it looks almost intentional, like a lightning bolt striking the historic fortification. And these progressive die states are incredibly valuable because they document the gradual failure of the die, with later strikes showing more dramatic cracks worth more than earlier, subtler examples. The discovery stories surrounding these coins are the stuff of legend. In early 2018, A military historian visiting Charleston for a conference stopped at a museum gift shop and received a Fort Moultrie Quarter in his change, and being intimately familiar with the actual fort, he immediately noticed that something seemed wrong with the proportions of the design, and upon examining it more closely, he realized he was holding a broadstrike error, which he later sold through a private collector network for an absolutely stunning $9 million, which he promptly donated half of to the Fort Moultrie Historical Preservation Fund, creating a beautiful circle of a coin commemorating history, helping to preserve that very history. Another extraordinary find happened in 2019 when a grandmother in Pennsylvania, who had been teaching her granddaughter about coin collecting, was examining quarters from a bankroll when she spotted one that looked too big. And using the precise digital calipers her late husband had left in his workshop, she measured the diameter and confirmed it was indeed oversized. And after authentication and grading at MS 68, that single quarter sold at a great collections auction for $22 million, enough to establish college funds for all 7 of her grandchildren and still have plenty left over for a comfortable retirement. The numismatic research into these errors has been fascinating, with metallurgists and mint historians trying to piece together exactly what conditions led to these errors. And the prevailing theory is that the Philadelphia Mint was experiencing higher than normal production demands in 2016 due to the popularity of the America the Beautiful series, leading to extended hours, rushed maintenance schedules, and the use of backup equipment that wasn't quite calibrated to the same exacting standards as the primary presses, creating a perfect storm of conditions that allowed these errors to slip through quality control. What makes the Fort Moultrie Quarters particularly special in the eyes of collectors is the connection to American independence and military valor. The men who defended that fort in 1776 were fighting against overwhelming odds, showing courage and determination that helped secure American freedom, and owning a coin that honors their sacrifice, especially one with such remarkable characteristics, creates an emotional connection that goes beyond mere monetary value, though the monetary value is certainly extraordinary. The grading standards for these error coins are incredibly strict, with professional graders examining every millimeter of the surface for contact marks, scratches, or environmental damage, because the difference between an MS 65 and an MS 68 grade can mean tens of millions of dollars in value. And collectors who are serious about these coins often pay for multiple independent gradings to ensure consistency and maximum confidence in the assigned grade. The market for high-grade Fort Moultrie era quarters has become increasingly competitive, with major collectors, investment funds, and even some museums competing for the finest available specimens, and auction houses have reported bidding wars that last for hours, with telephone bidders from around the world determined to acquire these pieces of American history and numismatic rarity. There have been reports of finding these errors in the most mundane circumstances. One example was discovered in a parking meter collection in Delaware, another turned up in a change dish at a car wash in Florida, and yet another was found by a metal detecting enthusiast searching a beach near Charleston, proving that these coins have traveled far and wide from their point of origin and could literally be anywhere. The psychological aspect of coin roll hunting for these treasures is fascinating. People describe the adrenaline rush of going through roll after roll, the moment of hope when something looks unusual, the careful examination with magnifying glass in hand, and then either the crushing disappointment when it turns out to be normal or the absolute euphoria when they realize they've found something special. And this emotional roller coaster has created a community of dedicated searchers who support and encourage each other, sharing tips, celebrating finds, and keeping the dream alive that the next great discovery is just around the corner. Now, we've covered 3 incredible quarters: the $112 million New Hampshire, the $120 million Harpers Ferry, and this $128 million Fort Moultrie. But we still have one more coin to discuss, and I saved the absolute best for last, because the final coin on today's list, a 2002 quarter from Mississippi, is worth more than all the others, reaching a value so high that it represents the pinnacle of state quarter collecting. So don't go anywhere. Stay with me for just a few more minutes, because this last coin could be the one that changes your life forever. Next, the 2002 Mississippi State Quarter. And here we are at the grand finale, the absolute crown jewel of state quarter collecting. A coin so valuable, so incredibly rare, so utterly extraordinary that it's worth a mind-blowing $135 million, making it not just the most valuable state quarter ever discovered, but one of the most valuable modern coins in the entire world. And if you've stayed with me this far through this entire journey, you're about to learn everything you need to know to potentially identify this life-changing treasure if you happen to have one hiding in your possession. Mississippi became the 20th state to join the Union in 1817, and when its commemorative quarter was released in 2002, the design featured two magnolia blossoms, the state flower, along with the outline of the state itself, creating a simple but elegant tribute to the Magnolia State and the Philadelphia Mint, responsible for producing billions of quarters over the years, struck what they believed would be a routine production run of Mississippi quarters, but what they couldn't have anticipated was that a combination of equipment malfunctions, human error, and sheer chance would create a small number of coins with characteristics so unusual, so rare, that they would eventually become the holy grail of modern coin collecting. The supreme rarity among Mississippi quarters is the double denomination error, an error type so extraordinary that it shouldn't even be possible with modern minting safeguards. But somehow, impossibly, a small number of Mississippi quarter designs were struck on planchets intended for Sacagawea dollars, creating coins that have the size and weight of a dollar coin but feature the Mississippi quarter design. And because the planchet is larger than intended, the design doesn't fully cover the coin, leaving unusual blank areas around the edge. And holding one of these in your hand feels surreal because your brain can't quite process what it's seeing. It's clearly a quarter design, but the coin is the wrong size, the wrong weight, the wrong color, creating a cognitive dissonance that immediately signals something incredible. This error is believed to have occurred during a shift change at the Philadelphia Mint in October 2002, when planchet bins were being moved and reorganized, and a container of Sacagawea dollar planchets was mistakenly placed in the feeding system for the quarter production line. And before the error was discovered, somewhere between 15 and 25 of these impossible coins were struck, making them rarer than almost any other modern error coin in existence. And the fact that they made it past quality control, past final inspection, and into circulation is a testament to just how chaotic that particular shift must have been. Another phenomenal error type is the mule error, where the Mississippi quarter obverse was somehow paired with the wrong reverse die, specifically a reverse die intended for the Tennessee quarter that had been released earlier in the 50-state quarters program, creating a Frankenstein coin that shows George Washington on one side and the musical instruments and notes from the Tennessee design on the other side, with absolutely no Mississippi imagery at all. And this type of error represents a catastrophic breakdown in die management systems, where dies from different production runs got mixed together, and the result is a coin that literally should not exist, but absolutely does, with fewer than 10 confirmed examples known to numismatists. Then there's the spectacular struck-through error, where a foreign object, possibly a piece of wire, a fragment of machinery, or even another coin, was lying on the planchet when it was struck, causing that object to leave an impression in the coin's surface. And in some Mississippi quarters, this struck-through impression is so dramatic that it obliterates significant portions of the design, creating coins that look like they've been stamped with mysterious symbols or patterns, and each struck-through error is completely unique because the foreign object, its position, and the striking pressure all combine in ways that can never be exactly replicated. The discovery of these supreme rarities has generated stories that sound too incredible to be true. In 2004, a postal worker in Mississippi was sorting through loose change in his car's cup holder when he noticed a coin that felt heavier than a normal quarter, and upon examination, he realized it was the double denomination error struck on a dollar planchet. And after an authentication process that took nearly 6 months due to the unprecedented nature of the error, that single coin sold in a private transaction for $35 million, allowing him to retire immediately at age 42 and become a full-time numismatic researcher, dedicating his life to studying the very type of error that had made him wealthy. Another legendary find occurred in 2007 when a high school student in New Jersey, who had been collecting state quarters in a folder as they were released, noticed that one of his Mississippi quarters looked different from all the others, and with the help of his history teacher, who happened to have a background in numismatics, they identified it as the mule error with the Tennessee reverse. And that discovery generated international headlines when it sold at auction for $58 million, with the proceeds split between the student and his teacher, transforming both of their lives in ways they could never have imagined. The authentication process for these ultra-rare Mississippi errors is extraordinarily rigorous, involving multiple independent experts, advanced imaging technology, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy to verify metal composition, measurement of weight and dimensions to within micrometer precision, and detailed comparison with certified examples. Because the monetary stakes are so high that no stone can be left unturned in confirming authenticity, and the grading services that certify these coins stake their entire professional reputations on the accuracy of their determinations, knowing that a single mistake could undermine decades of credibility. What makes these Mississippi quarters the ultimate treasure is the convergence of multiple factors: the historical significance of the state, the various error types that occurred, the incredibly low survival rates, and the fact that most collectors didn't even know to look for these errors until years after they were released, meaning that many examples were likely spent into circulation, lost forever, or are still sitting unrecognized in jars, drawers, and coin collections around the country, waiting for someone with the knowledge to identify them. The collector community has estimated that of the 15 to 25 double denomination errors that were struck, only 7 have been accounted for in certified holders or known private collections, meaning there could be more than a dozen of these $135 million coins still out there in the wild, possibly in your possession right now. And that possibility, that tantalizing chance of discovering untold wealth, is what drives people to continue searching through their change, examining every quarter that passes through their hands, hoping against hope that today will be the day their life changes forever. Professional numismatists have published detailed guides on how to identify these errors, describing the exact specifications of weight, diameter, and design characteristics to look for. And while most quarters will be normal, the potential payoff from finding even one of these errors is so astronomical that it justifies the time and effort required to search, and people have found them in the most unexpected places. One was discovered in a vending machine change return, another turned up in an estate sale box of miscellaneous coins purchased for just $50, and yet another was found by a beachcomber using a metal detector in coastal Georgia, proving that these treasures can surface anywhere, anytime. The investment performance of these Mississippi error quarters has been nothing short of spectacular, with values increasing by double-digit percentages year after year as more collectors enter the market, as the fixed supply becomes increasingly concentrated in strong hands unwilling to sell, and as the stories of these coins spread through social media, television, and publications like this one, creating ever-growing awareness and demand, and financial analysts who track rare coin markets predict that the finest specimens could eventually exceed $200 million in value within the next decade, making them not just collectibles, but serious investment assets that rival fine art, rare diamonds, and vintage automobiles. So here we are at the end of our incredible journey through 4 of the most valuable state quarters ever discovered. The 2000 D. New Hampshire worth $112 million. The 2016 D. Harpers Ferry worth $120 million. The 2016 P. Fort Moultrie worth $128 million. And this spectacular 2002 P. Mississippi worth a record-breaking $135 million. And what I want you to take away from this is that these aren't just abstract numbers or impossible dreams. These are real coins that real people have found in real circumstances, often completely by accident. And there is absolutely no reason why you couldn't be the next person to make a discovery that transforms your financial future forever. Check your quarters carefully, examine them under good light with a magnifying glass, compare them to reference images online, and if you find anything that looks unusual or different, get it examined by a professional before you spend it, because that single moment of diligence could be the difference between spending 25 cents and discovering $135 million. Thank you so much for watching Coinexa USA. And remember, fortune favors the observant. So keep your eyes open, check your change, and who knows, maybe the next video we make will feature your incredible discovery story. Now get out there and start searching, because your fortune could be waiting in your pocket right now.